You're sitting on your rocking chair at the end of your game, at the end of your career, whenever that age is, and you're rocking back and forth, and you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about your career, you're thinking about the impact you had, and you know you could have done more and you didn't, and you squandered that opportunity. Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to bring guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. In this episode, I want to share with you, I don't care if you're 1 month in the business or 50 years in the business, the single most important, powerful return on investment you can ever make in your career. And it's not a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, an ETF, a PE deal, anything like that. It's you. So let me unpack this for you. So first off, welcome to this episode. Hope you guys are having a great February here, 2025. I'm often asked the question in my 30 plus years experience of not just coaching advisors, but really observing the industry, really observing the profession from my position. What are some of the differentials, if you will, between advisors that succeed over long periods of time versus those that either a struggle or they have maybe a good quarter or a good year? In other words, they're not sustainable. Like, what are some of the key differences? And one of the differences that is universal, and we say success, by the way, I want to make sure we put a good definition on it because it's not just economic success. And what I mean by that is, I've met with, over my career, many of the top Barron's advisors, some of which I've actually worked with. And let me just say this. Just because you have a couple $1 billion under management and, 10 or $20 million of top line revenue does not mean you're a happy camper, okay? What it means is you've got a lot of net worth. You got a really nice fat bank account, but it doesn't mean that your health is good, your personal relationships are good, you're connected to your creator or any of that, right? It just means that you're really good operating. So when we think about what this business really is, and then how do we, what I'll call collate and coordinate our investment to that, well, what is it? So ultimately, what this boils down to, and I guessed on a webinar earlier this week, the topic was how to double your income. It's not what you think. And ultimately what this boils down to, I've said this for decades, this is the ultimate personal development business. And what I mean by that basically is this. Your bank account is 100% correlated directly to your psychology, mindset, identity, who you are. And if you buy what I just said, if you said, okay, yeah, I can see that kind of makes sense. Then obviously, if you want to improve your economic results, the first thing you've got to do is improve you. So what I've done in my career, I'm going to kind of put this into maybe a frame that hopefully everybody will get. My game is no different than yours as a coach. My level of success economically, my level of influence, my level of power to help advisors create the ultimate version of themselves is tied to who I am as a person. And for the first 25 years of my career, I was really, really good at what I did. And I was a good person. I was good. I wasn't great. I was good. And I was a damn good coach. But you know what I decided after 25 years, which was now 6 years ago? That I didn't want my next 25 to be my last 25. It was okay, but I'd be bored. And so I set on a mission, which I still am on that mission, to create and always be creating the next version of myself. So my first 25 years, this may sound weird, but let me walk you through it. So first 20 years of my career was Coach Joe 1.0. And then 6 years ago in May, I was in Huntington Beach, and I had this moment of absolute clarity. I walked on the beach 1.0, I came off the beach 2.0. And in the 5 plus years, and 2.0, tripled the business. I'm not saying that to impress you. My business is hard to triple because, again, we don't have assets. We don't have assets to leverage. Really became a great coach. Great. What do I equate that to? Even though I'm in the game, I tripled my personal development budget. I sought out the best coaches, the best mentors. I joined mastermind groups, very, you guys would consider expensive mastermind groups, $25,000, $35,000 a chair, to be around the type of people, the type of entrepreneurs I wanted to be around. And it had a massive impact on me. Fast forward to the summer of 2025. We just crossed year 30, and I got the same feeling. Good news, it didn't take 25 years. After 30 years, I was like, okay, is 2.0 good enough to make my long-term goals happen? And the answer is no. I had to now go create another version of myself, an elevated and improved version of myself, which now I say is Coach Joe 3.0, which really last fall was what I created. Now, why does that matter? It matters in this way. If you're going to create more economic abundance for yourself and your family, the current version of you is not going to pull it off. And that's just a brutal truth. And so if you're of the mindset of, I'm good enough, I don't want to change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, you're dead. Economically, man, you may grow a little bit here and there, but you're never going to have the breakthrough that you think you're going to get. You're just not going to have it. Now, what do most advisors do in that regard? They start trying, let me go get a marketing system, practice management system. Like, in other words, they're going to try to solve their problem by buying themselves away from it or out of it. And it's not that it will help. I'm not saying these are bad things, so there's no shade here. But don't get caught up in the concept that I don't have a me issue, I got a system issue, or a marketing issue, or a business development issue. No. Those are all symptoms of the cause, and the cause is you are not at the next level. So, if you buy the premise here, and by the way, I work with my personal clients on this. This is like one of my core coaching philosophies / principles we talk about. And here's what it's going to sound like. The current version of you is not going to be able to solve your future problems. It doesn't have the capabilities. It doesn't have the mindset. But I'll ask you this question. I want you to go back again, if you've been in business 10 years or longer. And if you not, go back to day one. Maybe it's 3 years, 5 years. But go back to a moment in time, 10 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. And I want you to ask yourself this question. Based on that past version of me, 10 years, let's use 10 years. So a decade ago, am I a better person, professional today than I was a decade ago? Do I have more capabilities, more experience? Am I better at the game today than I was a decade ago? 99% of you will say yes. Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment Just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. Now here's the cool thing. So you can't tell me that you can't change, because you have. We all have. But think about it in this perspective. It was done sort of happenstance. It wasn't directed. It wasn't planned. It wasn't focused. So I'll ask you this question. What do you think would happen to your game over the next decade if you actually harnessed it, planned it out, created this next version of you, and then went for it? Because that is, I don't want to say the secret, because I don't want it to sound like this thing. But if you ask me what's missing with most advisors when they try to scale the business, it's not lack of systems, it's not lack of marketing, it's not lack of execution, it's lack of the next identity for themselves. And you can't buy that. I wish I could. Look, if I could put together, like, here's a program, here's what it costs to go do it, and you'll come out the other side beautifully done. Yeah. It takes work, sacrifice, commitment, uncomfortableness. But you know what it really takes? The truth. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth, you won't pull this off. Now, what does that mean, the truth? It means different things to different people. I'll tell you my truth. My truth was, back 6 years ago, that I was good enough. I was okay. I rationalized it this way, that, hey, for a guy who never went to college and he gets to coach some of the most successful people in our industry, and he's making, more money than most doctors make, multiple 6 figures, that I should be grateful for what I'm doing, which I was, and I should be content, which I allowed myself to be. But here's the interesting part. For those of you who know me, we have something called the rocking chair test. So what's the rocking chair test? And I want you to imagine this, it's the end of your career. So you're going to be in a situation where you're blessed, where you don't just die in your sleep. Like, you can retire, you have a little after game after retirement. You're sitting on your rocking chair at the end of your game, at the end of your career, whenever that age is. And you're rocking back and forth. And you're thinking about your life. You're thinking about your career. You're thinking about the impact you had. And you could have done more and you didn't. And you squandered that opportunity. That's what fuels me every day. See, a lot of people think I'm this big motivational guy and I'm going to do these great things. And so they're like, no. Like, I operate more from I don't want that future, and I'll do everything to avoid that. I don't want to have the situation looking back at my life and my career saying, hey, I did okay, but man, I left a lot of meat on that bone. Like, I don't want that. So what does this all matter? Best return on investment you can ever make in this game is investing in yourself. To never be satisfied who you are as a person or professional. And look, I don't care if you're 20 years old, 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't care. There's always a next version of you. It's inside of us. But to tap it, to exploit it, you got to be willing to invest in yourself to go do that. And I'm not going to say you have to come join me in what I do here inside of Magellan. I'm not saying that, okay? But here's what I want to tell you. I was arrogant enough for many years to think I can do this on my own. And it wasn't until I was so frustrated that I said, I'm going to triple I took my personal development budget from 5 figures to 6 figures. When 6 figures hurt economically, like I didn't have that kind of abundance at that time. I exposed myself to everything possible to get my breakthrough. And if I think about the return on that investment over these past 6 years, it's other than maybe NVIDIA and some other, scenarios like that, one of the best returns I've ever gotten. What a lot of you guys are doing as advisors, you're looking at ROI or, from if I go hire, this marketing firm or this lead acquisition company, or I'm going to go bring in this systemization scenario and it's going to cost me X and I'll get Y back. And that's good. I mean, that's what this business, what you want to do. Have you ever stopped to think, if I invest in myself, what's my return on investment? And when I say that, for some of you, it may not be that you need like a business coach. You need like, hey man, I got to get a nutritionist and a personal trainer. My health is crap. And I feel like crap. Like it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're physically wrecked and you don't have your health, I don't see how you pull this off. You just don't. Not over long periods of time. You can cowboy up a little bit, right? For short periods of time. But you're not going to get done what you need to get done. You're just not. And if you look in the mirror and tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself. It's truth. So here's my new rule. Some of you have been around me, so you kind of know. So for a long time, I talked about 10%. Take 10% of your net. So if you're at a firm, whatever your payout is, right, that number, 10% number. If you're independent, 10% after not all your expenses, but your platform costs like that, 10%, right? I used to say that. And then guys would start, putting their golf coach in there and that's fine, right? But it kind of got a little nebulous in what we were investing in. So starting this year, it's still 10, but now it's 5-5. So minimum 5% spent purely on coaching, training, right? So if you're running, let's say $1 million net prof on your deal, that's $50,000, right? Just for coaching and training. And another $50,000 for the concierge doctor, right? The masseuse, whatever else you need personal development wise, right? And that's fine. So it's still a 10% budget, right? But 5% minimum is invested purely on making you the best professional you can from a coaching, training aspect. All right? That will be the best return on investment you'll ever make in your career. Now, if you're starting out in your game, and I'm passionate about young advisors, by the way, it's my thing. And so some of you may say, well, Joe, I don't have look, if you're earning $50,000 or $75,000 a year, look, I hate to say it, starve for a little bit, eat some ramen noodles, invest in yourself. You don't need to use Mercedes right now. You need capabilities. You need mindset. You need identity. Way more than you need a cool ride. Now I'm going to talk to these who are new in this game. The more you can invest in yourself, the faster you develop, the faster you scale your game. Just the way it works. It is not your firm's responsibility. It is your responsibility. Now, your firm may have resources for you, which I want you to take advantage of, but ultimately at the end of the day, if you don't succeed in this business, it's not the firm. Don't sit there, oh, my firm, they didn't train me. Hey, ultimately it's your responsibility. Seek what you're not getting. That's how we want to play this game. All right? So, quick recap, then we'll get you guys out of here for the week. Number one, minimum of 10%, 5% coaching training, other 5 on whatever else is going to make you a better version, golf lessons, masseuse, concierge doctor, all those things, right? But 10% making you a better version of you. Next, your bank account is tied to who you become. So if you want to increase your economics, you have to become more capable. That requires you to develop yourself personally, right? This is not about designation hunting. It's about getting your mind right and your identity right and giving yourself absolute permission to have everything you want. You can do that in this game. All right? I want to thank you for watching and listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. A little excited today. And look, if this resonated with you, this made any sense whatsoever, I want you to go to MagellanNetwork.net and I want you to fill out an application for a 30-day trial on what we do inside of our game. I think for many of you, it's the missing link to get you to that next level. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.